We are talking about 5 Big Ten teams who are excelling right now in the transfer portal. I have 3. Zach has 2. I'll go ahead and start with my first one, which is UCLA. I love what Bob Chesney is doing right now in the transfer portal. He is going after everybody. UCLA, it's clear, is investing money into the transfer portal to bring guys in. I think this is fantastic. I think it's really good for Bob Chesney. I love that he's bringing in his guys from James Madison. Kyle Whittingham has brought in a lot of guys from Utah, but he's missed out on bringing in some guys, and I think they were some of the key guys that he needed to bring in. Bob Chesney, he just beat out Ohio State for Zahir West, and that was huge that they were able to beat him out. I just talked about that yesterday morning, if you're listening to this the next day, about the Big Ten battle that was going on between those two. And I said, I think UCLA might win this as much as Ohio State is kind of getting desperate at this point, and they really need to get some players in the transfer portal. UCLA is doing a great job of retaining their guys. They brought in Wayne Knight as well. A little concerned about his size in the Big Ten, but overall, I think he's going to do a good job. Teo Johnson, sealing him away from Michigan. I just referenced Michigan and trying to bring in some of their Utah guys, but Teo Johnson, and I think Teo Johnson would have been a huge get because right now Michigan's going to have to Michigan's going to have to try and bring back a guy like Jordan Young. They have a few other safeties in the portal they might try to bring back. And if they do, that's great, but that's also a true freshman this season. Teo Johnson would have had a lot more experience for you and probably been a better plug and play guy. So love what UCLA is doing. Love what Bob Chesney is doing. Do I think it's going to lead to them being Indiana next year? No, I'm not saying that's going to happen, but do I think it's going to lead to some more excitement and a better season for UCLA football? I do think it's going to lead that way, especially if you continue to see what we've seen happen continue to go. And they're in on more guys. I mean, they're in on Quincy Porter. They're in on other big name guys that could really be weapons for UCLA this year, trying to help out Nico Imaliava. So I love it. Zach, any thoughts on UCLA? And then you can get to your first team.
My first thought is we need to get Bruin Source in here to talk about this because I feel like their fortunes are very much changing. But they're doing a great job in the portal and, have gotten a couple players that either Ohio State wanted or guys from Ohio State to kind of bolster their depth. So I just think they're doing a great job of trying to build on the foundation they have already with Nico.
Agreed. All right. Who's your first team, Zach?
So this one might be a little controversial, but I'm going Penn State. I think now people will say they've lost 47 players. How could they be top 5? And I get that. And you're not wrong. But here's my counter to that is that, remember, Penn State was kind of in dire straits and somehow they landed Matt Campbell. And Matt Campbell has gotten a lot of the guys he needed from Iowa State to come in and replace the big time guys that they lost in the portal, right? They were always going to lose a ton of players. They're always going to. So like anybody saying, well, they lost 47 players. They were always going to with a coaching transition. So the fact that they brought in Rocco Becht to replace Grunkemeyer, that's huge for several reasons, right? Rocco Becht is a very mature player. He has a lot of starts under his belt. And what have we seen in this new world of college football? You need quarterbacks who are experienced and have played a lot of football. We have Carson Beck and Fernando Mendoza in the national championship game. So that's one. Luke Reynolds, who I thought underproduced, he transfers out. So what does Matt Campbell do? He gets Benjamin Brahmer, who's a 4-star tight end. Big pickup for them. They lose a number of wide receivers. They get a bunch of wide receivers from Iowa State. Brett Esclidden. They get Zay Robinson and Karan Brookins. And then they have another guy that came in. Where is he? Chase Soule, who's a 6'3", 210-pound target, big-time target. They get some key guys on the defensive side of the ball, Marcus Neal and Caleb Bacon. Again, a lot of Iowa State guys. And it's not just Iowa State guys, but they're getting guys from Colorado and UCLA. They have done a good job of filling their roster and replacing guys of need who you knew they were going to lose anyway. So I think that's the key thing is you have to look at it in the context of the fact they were always going to lose a ton of players. especially the way this coaching search went. And so for Matt Campbell to come in and basically get the best part of his roster to come and play for him at Penn State, and you combine that with the schedule they have, you're looking at, I think, a floor of at least 8 wins next year, if not better.
Yeah, especially with that schedule. I think, if people choose Penn State to be a dark horse team to make the college football playoffs, that could be something that happens too. So good stuff. I agree with you on Penn State. They're kind of lower in some of the transfer portal rankings, but I like what they're doing. Give some love to Wisconsin here. Luke Fickell. I like what Luke Fickell is doing in the transfer portal right now. It's pretty evident that they are going after some bigger targets and they are allocating some more money to the transfer portal. I'm really excited that they're doing that, and they've gone after some good players. Jane Lofton there on the edge. You were able to bring in Colton Joseph, who obviously was a big addition quarterback wise to come in for this team. Marvin Burks Jr., a guy coming in from Missouri who has played a ton of snaps, played a ton of football there. I think there were some questions about maybe some tackling and stuff like that with him. However, he's a guy that's a veteran. He's going to come in and kind of really help that defense, especially when you have some of the young players on that defense as well. Abu Sama, their running back coming in from Iowa State. I like what he's going to possibly bring to this team as well. I think that running back was something that they were kind of missing out on a little bit last year. And then I love the addition of Bryce West, the cornerback. I think that he was going to be a really good player at Ohio State, and Ohio State unfortunately let him go. And I think that Wisconsin did the right thing by going out and making a very good NIL deal for him. And he's most likely going to start for Wisconsin next season. And I think that's a really good pickup for him. So I like what Wisconsin's doing right now. I'm not predicting them to win the Big Ten or anything like that, but I do think that they're on the right track and they're doing a good job, trying to revamp this roster a little bit, putting some more money into it. And it seems like they are kind of going the veteran route a little bit, which I think is the best route to go.
They're going veteran, but they're also getting some pretty good talent too. Like, I feel like they've upgraded the talent significantly in this transfer portal round.
Funny enough, give Luke Fickell some money and he can go out there and get you some talent. How about that?
How about that?
All right, who's your next one, Zach?
So I know we're probably going to talk about Indiana, but let's talk about their rival for a minute. Their true rival, the one that that Indiana's beat down the past couple of years, but Barry Odom's doing some work. He's doing some work. Listen, Purdue has gotten some really key guys. I know they lost Nitro Tuggle. They lost Rico Walker. Those are big losses. But they did get Ijaboy from Minnesota, who I really liked as the second string running back for Minnesota. I thought that was a really good pickup by them. Xavier Townsend from Iowa State as a wide receiver coming in. Kurt Neal from Illinois. So they've got legit Big Ten players coming to play for Purdue. And then, you got that big corner from Utah, Don Saunders. He's a 6'4" corner. You need big corners in the Big Ten with some of the physical guys you've got in this conference. You get Jaden Mangum from Michigan to come as a safety. So I think what Purdue is doing, considering how far you have to climb, like you have to take big swings to improve your roster, and they are doing that. And they've kind of stopped the bleeding a little bit with the transfers. Only 20 guys transferring out. I know that sounds like a lot. Most of them were not starters. And like they are, I think they are getting more pieces that can play, which I think bodes well as they continue to try to punch upward in this conference.
Yeah, doing a good job getting defensive linemen as well, which I think is something that was needed there, especially with some of the ones they lost in the transfer portal as well. So we'll see how it works out. But right now, Barry Odom seems to be doing the right thing, in my opinion. And, again, I'm not picking Purdue to win the conference next year, but I do think that Purdue is on the right trajectory right now. And I think that they're set up to have a better season next year than they did last year. It's much harder to have a worse season than you had last year.
It's true. But I'm assuming you're going to talk about a team that probably will win the conference next year.
Yeah, this is my number one team in the country next year, and it's because of what they're doing right now, the transfer portal. It's the Indiana Hoosiers. I mean, we can't go an episode without giving them their props because they're just killing it right now. But Josh Hoover, Nick Marsh, I mean, Turbo Richard coming in from Boston College there, that was huge. Preston Zachman, I just gave Wisconsin a lot of credit. They did lose Preston Zachman there, which is unfortunate. And Indiana, went out and got the seventh year senior, and it looks like Joe Brunner could be somebody that comes in as well with the relationship with Preston Zachman. We'll see what happens in that one. But they're not just getting these older guys too. They went out and got Brock Schott, the tight end from Miami. Maybe he's going to bring a little bit of Miami secrets with him to for the national championship game. But overall, I think that they did a really good evaluation in Carson Williams as well. I watched a little bit of his tape today from Montana State, FCS guy. Montana State obviously just had a fantastic season there in the FCS. And I think that Carson Williams, although he's a little undersized, only 165 pounds, he is 6'1", so he's taller than D'Angelo Pons, but definitely looking forward to see what he can do in the Big Ten, how they utilize him. Younger guy, a little bit smaller guy, but overall, I look up and down these additions for Indiana, and a couple of them I haven't seen yet, but most of them I have seen, and I just look and say, yep, good player, good player, good player, good player, good player, old player, old player, old player. That's what Indiana does. They own the transfer portal. It is what it is.
I think Kurt Cignetti, more than I think any other coach currently, knows who he is and knows what he wants. And I think that is maybe the defining metric of this current era is you need to know who you are and you need to know what you're looking for. And then you need to go out and just do it. And I don't like nobody does it better than Cignetti.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, I hate that they're doing this with the usernames here, but M. Banderson, I apologize, man. I can't remember your name from before. They do these usernames now instead. It says, I hope Zachman and Brunner can bounce back. Honestly, we don't play Indiana, so nothing but love. And that's the thing, right? Is like Zachman and Brunner didn't have the best seasons this year, but Zachman was also in a secondary that was just not, put in good situations most of the season. That pass rush got better throughout the year and definitely started helping them out. But early on in the year, it wasn't helping them out a whole lot. And then Brenner, he was in an offensive line that was constantly in flux, constantly changing because of all the injuries and everything else. And so hopefully with some more stability, these guys will be able to come in and play better for Indiana. But, we'll have to see. They definitely have a lot of experience, and that's what Kirk Cignetti loves. So, all right. Anything else on the transfer portal, Zach?
No. I think we covered it well.